Okay, the recording has started, and this is the November 5th, 2019 Rook Community Meeting. We will go ahead and jump into somebody's phone call. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about patch release that we will be doing for 1.1. Let's bring up that board real quick and take a look, see at the status there. All right. And so, yeah, we want to get 1.1.5 out today. Travis, would you like to update us on that?
Yep. The thought is, I think we're ready for a patch release. We've got a number of important fixes that are ready to get out there. One of them is a long-standing issue. We've had the Flex driver allowing mounts on multiple nodes, so that appears to be fixed now. Happy for that one, among other things. I think there's one more that just had a backport PR opened that'll be ready to go. And I don't know of any other issues we need to get in for the release.
Which ones, Travis, on the board here are the critical ones?
So I don't think any of these other ones are critical at this point for 1.5. The backport PR that was just opened is the one I'm thinking of.
Is that this one, the 3495?
No.
That one's actually, a PR. Oh.
That's in progress for upgrade tests. And actually, we could probably remove that from 1.1. That's just an integration test issue, really, that Blaine is working on to get our upgrades and testing in a better place.
Got it. Do we have an issue tracking the backboard? Like the issue that you're referring to, the backboard PR was just open for, is that on the board, or is that already like closed out?
It probably just got closed when
from big fixed merge into master?
Master merge, yep.
Yeah, okay.
So it's the original PR was 4195 and the issue number was, where'd it go? Well, 4195 was the PR. I know there was an issue for it too, but it wasn't linked to that. Maybe there wasn't an issue. Anyway, there's a backport PR open that should be ready quickly. And if nothing else, I'll just add the PR to the board so we can see it.
Cool. How, in your opinion, Travis, how have the like integration tests, reliability, how has that been recently? Because I know we've made some fixes to address some of the flakiness in the tests. Where do you think your assessment is of where that stands now?
I feel like it's definitely in a lot better place, especially from when I started, or that effort was started like a month ago. There's still a couple more issues and that hit much more often than I would hope. But it's definitely a lot more green these days.
That's good. Slightly less headaches then?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
One thing that's really helping too is that PRs are much faster now, since we distribute these Ceph tests across the different Kubernetes versions instead of running them all on every Kubernetes version for every PR. And yeah, that's just been a good thing for productivity.
Awesome. Good stuff.
So, yep.
Cool. So I saw a pull request for updating the roadmap for 1.2. Are the boards and milestones in a position to take a look at here, or should we stay high level and just talk about the overall plans for 1.2?
So I did make a pass at the 1.2 board, so it wouldn't hurt to bring it up.
Okay.
I looked at the board, not the milestone page. So I didn't do a thorough review of everything that we wanted to make sure we got in, but when I was looking at the roadmap, I tried to make sure that those issues at least were showing up in the board here. So there's a number of things in progress.
It seems like we're tracking a lot more, or we're including a lot more pull requests on the board than we had before. Like previously, historically speaking, we have just been tracking issues on the board only. But if you see a fair amount of pull requests now, does that mean that we don't have issues for these, or is this just we're putting the pull request into the onto the board?
That's a good question. I mean, we still prefer issues to be tracked on the board. If, let's see, in this
Yeah,
case,
yeah, and yeah.
yeah,
Sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead, Travis.
yeah, does that one have an issue linked to it? It looks like.
So it does have an issue, but then that issue isn't in a milestone. So this, I think, this is one of the problems I have with just tracking pull requests is that it makes like release notes and knowing what issues got fixed in a milestone much more difficult if they're not assigned to the milestones.
Mhm.
So in terms of tracking things, I definitely have a strong preference for tracking issues and not tracking pull requests.
Right, and yeah, I guess the if there is an well, my approach has been if there's an issue, let's make sure it's on the board, not the pull request. But occasionally there are smaller fixes where a pull request just gets opened without an issue, and the pull request describes everything, just as an issue would. So, those, from my perspective, tracking it with the pull request has been fine.
Mm-hmm.
As far as release notes, I think, yeah, we just have to continue being diligent for pending release notes if it's a feature for the next release. And then for patch releases, I've just been looking at the commit history and making sure they're all in the release notes.
Yeah, for patch releases, that doesn't really have a scalability problem because those are fairly scoped.
It has been fairly tedious though, with like 15 to 20 fixes in a patch release. Um, but at least, yeah, I've just been to make it reliable. Looking through the commit history has been the only way to do that.
That's fair. Yeah. So back to that, like issues that we are fixing or including in a milestone, I seems to be easier to go ahead and include them. Actually tag them with the milestone itself.
Yep.
At the least.
Yeah. So I've been trying to clean those up too when I find them. I didn't. Well, I missed that one obviously.
Cool. Any other comments about the 1.2 board or status?
Um, Not so much about the board. I mean, overall, we're talking about 1 month until roughly a month until we release. So and with holidays coming up, and KubeCon, we don't really have a lot of time, honestly. So I think it's time to start finishing things up and getting ready for that. We did have the feature freeze just before Thanksgiving, the last week of November. I wanted to propose, since we don't have a lot of features coming in at the last moment type of thing, like we did for 1.1, I was proposing just a feature freeze on December 3rd, just after the holidays with Thanksgiving, unless there's any concern for that. I don't know if it'll make much difference, honestly, but it seemed more realistic, at least.
How long has been the feature freeze time period that we've been using so far? Has it been about a week, or it's been a little bit longer than a week?
For 1.1, I think it was a week and a half,
Hmm.
or was it 2 weeks? I don't know, maybe Blaine, do you remember better? It was something like that.
I thought it was closer to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I think 2 weeks is generally a good thing. It was such, in 1.1, honestly, in retrospect, it was such a relaxed, or we needed to get so much in. It was a challenge to hold to that. Maybe it's a better way to say it. So find a way to be more strict about that feature freeze too. Maybe that would help. And in this case, I don't know, 1 week seemed sufficient at least. But the sooner we can get features in, the better, of course. Not that we want to delay them.
Yeah, and one thing that I found that works, that has worked fairly well, is like when you do a feature freeze, that's the same time at which you branch, you create the release branch as well. So that which essentially opens up master again for feature work on the next release. But and then bug fixes or reliability, stability, etc. just goes into the release branch, well, into master if it's still applicable in master, and then backported. But that approach tends to have a pretty narrow window for preventing features from going into master, and that's one thing I like about that.
Yeah, it is nice to have that beta branch effectively, or the beta tag, so we can fork.
Cool. Okay, any other comments on upcoming milestones and releases?
Well, for me, anybody else?
All right. Ready then. Let's excuse me. Let's move on down to the community topics here. So KubeCon is in 2 weeks, basically. Super exciting times down here in San Diego. I've been doing everything I can to make sure San Diego is ready for you all.
Right.
So when you guys show up here, we should be ready. A note here is that the next community meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, basically the first official day of KubeCon. Monday is the 0-day events, and then Tuesday is the official kickoff of the conference. And so we will not have a Rook community meeting that day. We'll just skip that one and go and have the next one. But we do have a Rook booth that is hosted in the CNCF's Project Pavilion area. So we can have plenty of conversations at that Rook booth. There is much time to discuss anything we want there. So feel free to drop by the booth, and we can catch up on everything there.
Yep. Also, one more note about KubeCon: we have the Rook session. That's a 90-minute intro plus deep dive, and so we'll have time for different storage providers to present there. So far I have Seth, Cassandra, and EdgeFS as presenting in that.
Did the Yugabyte folks respond on that one?
I don't think I've seen a response yet.
Okay,
so
yeah. I think that they would be really excited about that.
Right. Anyone else here today that that wants to get into that presentation, I guess?
I'll send an email or reach out to the Yugabyte folks to ping them on that one, because I'd be surprised if they didn't want to participate in that.
Right. Yeah, just get.
Yeah, I'll send mail to like Karthik or Sid or Andrew or one of those folks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Yes, and then so we've started. Is Mike Perez? He's leading an effort on Rook booth staffing. Is that right, or is it? I know Mocha was talking about doing that too. Are they in contact to try to staff the Rook booth?
Yeah, I saw them in contact. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. They should be. So Mocha was going to coordinate with Mike to staff. I think the first thing she was going to do is just try and get a firm understanding of who was going to be there, so what the available set of people are.
He just sent a doc to you, Jared.
Oh yeah.
Search on Slack, yeah.
Okay, cool, good. Thank you. One thing interesting I noticed in the language used by the CNCF in talking about the Project Pavilion, that it's they said specifically that people at the booth should be the project maintainers or ambassadors. First, I haven't even heard the term ambassadors in terms of like what that even means for the CNCF. And second, that's a requirement that I don't feel very strongly about, honestly. If somebody is involved in the project and they want to be there talking about the project, then I have no qualms with that whatsoever.
I agree to the it's just a catch-all word, because I was like, what does that actually mean? It doesn't mean anything. It means so long as you are knowledgeable about Rook, about the open source project, can do it in an open, user-facing, community way, you can be an ambassador for Rook. So it'd be great to have some maintainers on there, but anybody on this call would be totally fine on there, in my opinion. And I don't think the CNCF would object. I think that's what that means. Just
Got it. It's a bit of a catch-all
somebody
term.
somebody that knows about it.
I hope that they have little, like for your badges, they have like little stickers that you put like in a chain underneath them. I hope that they have ambassador as one of those as well.
Yeah.
Well, the nature of the Rook project is all storage provider owners really are maintainers of Rook, in my mind. Yep. So all the above are invited to the booth.
I have no hangups on their language used there. I thought it was interesting, but yeah, like let's have folks there that are interested, engaged, and knowledgeable, and let's connect with people at the conference. That's fine with me. Sweet. Yeah, it's only 2 weeks. So excited about it. God, I love KubeCons. Probably more than I should. I get I get irrationally excited about KubeCon.
Irrationally.
I love it. All right. So CI stuff. So we had been talking on the test channel with Chris Marr and Adam and Travis. So we need to copy the AMI over to the Rook account. It looks like Adam just added a link for how to copy AMIs across accounts. So I have access to both, so I can follow up on that and get the AMI over there. Travis, can you help me understand what that's blocking right now? It's a priority for me to do, but I just want to understand better what part of the flow breaks without that AMI right now.
Well, we've got the Golang version baked into the AMI, so if we want to move to Golang 1.13 for package dependencies. Alex is excited about that, and so I think we just want to update the AMI for a new version of Golang. Is the goal. Yep.
And so once we have the AMI there, it's possible to just then update it without having like the whole Packer build process stuff too, or is that does Adam and Alex and all you guys understand that process well? I don't really know how to build AMIs, honestly.
Yeah, that's magic to me too. So I think Adam and Chris must have talked about that.
We build them with Packer. We have Packer scripts that build AMIs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole repo that has all the Packer scripts that build our AMIs for Jenkins.
And I was looking for that last night, and all I could find was a repo with just a single README file and one commit to it. Do you know where that repo is, Bassam?
Let me look. I'll take a quick look.
Okay.
So we shouldn't need to copy the AMI over. We should just be able to build.
Yeah,
this.
I mean that's what my understanding has been, is that if you want to change it and add it, you're gonna have to build stuff. So you'll need like the process around that, as opposed to just having the product, the artifact. I don't know how useful that is if you want to make updates in a repeatable way, at least.
Yeah, it's. I found the repo. It's actually under Upbound. I guess we can make this. I think Mars started it there, and it probably should be public. I don't know why it's private. So unless there are some secrets in there, I'll send it to you, Jared, and you can just take a look.
Okay, yeah, I'll follow up if you give me a link to that. Thank you, Bassam.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah, let me take a real quick note on that. Okay, cool. Sounds good. I can take that note here too.
Yeah. While you're typing, I'll just go on with a couple other things in progress for the CI.
You do your thing.
Yep. We want to clean up the Jenkins instance, so we've got a lot of really old plugins. So Adam is going to take a look at removing plugins we don't need, and then updating the other ones to more recent versions that don't have security holes in them, or security reports. So tomorrow, assuming the patch release goes out today, potentially tomorrow he's going to try and remove the ones that we mentioned in Slack a couple days ago and run the build. And if something fails, then he'll just revert to a previous snapshot, so we can not be down if something goes wrong with removing those plugins. So yeah, and then next step after that will be update
sorry, Travis. Yeah, the plugins for the Rook Jenkins, like there is some cruft in there. I was when you sent that list of plugins over, I was kind of surprised about the historical, legacy that was demonstrated in there. So there's a lot of things I think we can clean up and keep updated. That's something we haven't not done a good job is updating the Jenkins plugins and version, et cetera, to keep it pretty fresh. So that'd be good to be able to do that more easily by removing a lot of plugins that aren't even needed.
Absolutely. And just a note that our build was broken on Friday because a tool we were depending on changed its process for how it's published, and this is a YQ tool for YAML processing. So it was fixed, but it was kind of disturbing that we were broken by something external. So we should look for ways to prevent these things when we're pulling in external tools. So we had to pull in the tool instead of building it because its build relied on Golang 1.13 with the new modules support.
I see. So now we're just bringing it in as a built dependency.
Right. It's just we're pulling the binary.
Got it. All right. Anything else on CI stuff, Travis?
I think that's good for now.
All right. Okay. So let's move ahead on to the PRs section here. So the roadmap update, Travis, you have out as we saw.
Yeah, I just opened that last night. So got a few general changes in there and tried to get the things in there for Ceph that I'm aware of. The other storage providers, I'm not aware of what needs to be in there. So I've, like a week ago, I pinged storage providers to ask for input on it. I haven't heard anything yet. So I'll do one more ping. But people can open the PRs separately too. There's no real need to get into the same one. But yep, so that's all. Just if people have updates to the roadmap, please comment on it, and we'll do that at the same time.
Sounds good. And then Sebastian and Travis, you all have an effort going here to include a Python library.
Yes, this is Sebastian Wagner. I don't see him on the call. So this is, so for a while, Sebastian has been generating a Python client basically for Rook. So it can use it from manager modules in Ceph. And it's like, oh, every time something changes in Rook, well, he'd have to go generate this separately and things would be broken. Well, it kind of makes sense to let's just do this in the Rook repo. We're generating the Golang client with the make code gen command. It just makes sense, I think, for the make code gen to also generate the Python client, and then it's all versioned at the same time, and no need for a separate process here. So, I mean, this is the first instance of anything really Python related we've got in the repo. So I can't think of any reason not to do this, but do let us know if there's any thoughts around this. Links.
And is this done is this a Python client that is like for CRD access, like a Kubernetes API stuff?
Yeah, exactly. So from the manager modules in Ceph, they actually want to call or create cluster CRs or modify settings in the CRs, create new file systems, create new RGW, basically so the dashboard can drive what's happening with the CRs.
So do you think that that's something that, if there's value in this, that could be done in a general way, like how we're generating Golang clients for all of the storage providers, that we could do that for a Python one for all the storage providers as well? Or we could do that? Do you think it's better to do that on an as needed basis if somebody needs one from one of the storage providers?
Well, I think, I'm trying to remember now, but that tool, I think, will generate it potentially for, now I'm not sure if it does it for all the providers, but it would make sense to just do it for all the providers at the same time. Yeah, it's just we can generate it, so why not?
Yeah, that seems to be reasonable to me, that if we're already going to bring in, the whatever dependency it is and have, a story around surfacing a Python interface here to talk to CRDs, that could be something beneficial to all storage providers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I need to remind myself if this is just implemented for Ceph right now, or he had a change for Cassandra, I think, in there too. But yeah. Oh, this PR actually right now is still just using we're referencing his other Python client generator. So there's a comment about changing it so that we would bring his library in to Rook, basically, or this generator into Rook. So that's not done yet in this PR.
Is it not an upstream generator? Is it something that Sebastian wrote himself?
Yeah, he found issues with others, and it's based on schema. So it needs to make sure that the schema validation properties are up to date on the CRDs, and then it's generated from that. But it's not something he totally wrote from scratch. He's using some other generation tools based on the schema.
I see.
So after he brings that in, I think we could more thoroughly look at the PR.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It seems like it would be ideal if to have some sort of upstream convergence there. That Python client generators. I thought there was one for just general Kubernetes usage. And if there's deficiencies in that one, it would be nice for the upstream ones to get the same benefits or functionality that we would be needing and using for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
All right. Okay, so then Ashish, you added your pull request here, 4254.
Yep. So it's basically a proposal for moving the Rook operators to the operator SDK or the operator framework. I think two Rook meeting back, community meeting back, I bring up this topic of moving the NFS operator to operator SDK. I and Rohan had a discussion, and we thought that moving to the operator SDK will be a bit option for the Rook, I guess, because operator kit, I don't think much development is happening over there, and operator SDK has a good community support currently, and apart from that, it has already proven its worth, as most of the operators running in OpenShift are using the operator SDK, and it also solves some of the real life problems like upgrading and basically the OLM, what OLM does. So I guess moving it to operator SDK will be a better option for us.
And so actually, do you think that it sounds like you're saying that some of that, like the lifecycle management functionality of the operator SDK, like the OLM, that is an important part of this as well, as opposed to just the controller runtime patterns for writing controllers and reconcilers? Like, you think the lifecycle management stuff is important as well?
Yeah, I think OLM is also important for us, and since we will be moving to operator framework, so we'll be getting both the controller runtime and the OLM as well. So it's beneficial for us, I guess.
Yeah, I've definitely been a fan of the controller runtime and the framework and approach they use for writing scalable, reliable controllers in Kubernetes. I love the controller runtime. I've been using it in a couple of different places, but I'm not as familiar and intimately knowledgeable about like other parts of the operator SDK, like the operator lifecycle management (OLM) stuff. So I would need to have a little more education on that, I think, or the impact that would have.
Yeah, so I basically put that as a work in progress PR so that we can debate on that PR, like comments, and maybe we can I will be addressing it based on the comments that I get.
Cool.
I mean, I think that's the best way to actually go through this.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for taking this initiative, Ashish, and proposing this and writing up your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and we do have a pattern already of using controller runtime in several of the controllers in Rook.
Yeah, all those disruption ones
Right.
are all written with that pattern, right?
Exactly. So
Right.
that were added
So
recently. So if moving the other controllers to controller runtime was, in my mind, is something that clearly makes sense. Just glancing at this, Ashish, if you could flesh out in a little more detail, like what it would look like to use the operator SDK. I guess I'm still not clear. What does this really mean for Rook to use operator SDK, right?
And also, I think
I actually started late, so I didn't added much detail. As I will try to add much more detail.
And Ashish, also one thing that I'm interested in is what's the benefit of using operator SDK over just controller tools and controller runtime?
So what I believe
if we can address, we don't have to do it now, but I'm interested in what's incremental benefit on top of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I will try to frame some scenarios and add it to this design so that maybe it would give a better picture to all of us.
That sounds really useful, Ashish. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Yes. So I got a couple action items here that I'll follow up on. Let me put my name next to them too. Were there any other pull requests or community topics that folks wanted to bring up today here? And I hit Command S after I type in Google Docs, even though it automatically saves every time.
Yeah, so I had a topic to discuss. So, I was thinking of adding a Go report card kind of tool for every PR, because I was actually thinking of, we don't have any tool that actually gives us the quality control or the code quality control for the Rook project, right? I mean, we should have a mechanism to actually detect the PRs which actually degrades the code quality and other stuff. I just today checked the Go report card of our Rook, and I think that we can actually improve the quality of our codes.
Can you expand a little bit on that, Ashish? Because with the current Go report card, there's some categories there that are a little lower, but
right.
overall
Especially the GoLint part.
Yeah.
I think this can be easily fixed in the PRs itself at that time, because once the PR gets in, it's actually difficult to find out the lint errors, and it's best to fix it during the when the PR is actually pulled up.
Yeah, I thought that a while ago we had made an effort to add like linting as like a part of the build process, that it would fail the build if it wasn't in there. But I think I also recall us abandoning that because it was a bit restrictive, or
it was too painful. There's no way to suppress errors that were either we didn't want to fix or didn't make sense to fix or something. Yeah, it was.
Is there still no like ignore for that?
I haven't looked recently, but that would be. I think that was the blocker in my mind why we didn't do more with that.
Ooh, it's a lot of them.
I think one of the. You go ahead.
No, I just wanted to tell that if we can add some kind of tool which actually tells a developer or the any developer what are the best practices when it actually pulls up the PR, that would be great, I guess.
Yep, increasing code quality is always the goal. Finding the right tools to do it is just usually the question.
Yeah, I think in general, an engineering best practices or engineering quality standards is always a good idea. The trade-off is often around finding the right set of standards that are appropriate for a project, that translate into measurable or actual gains in quality versus restrictiveness to contributors. So it's always a trade-off that needs to be thought through. But in general, having taking steps to improve engineering quality is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to like fixing the current issues, I think I'm using like a set of linters in Visual Studio by default. I think this would be kind of one of those actions like with the documentation, where we would basically have someone probably have to go through all files and fix the lint issues that we have then agreed on. So I think Travis likes to read some more.
Read the long PRs, tedious.
Yeah.
Yeah, my impression of GoLint is it was just too noisy, and I didn't like the fixes it was suggesting sometimes.
For some points, though, it's like totally viable in regards to like a structure not having any comments, constants missing comments and such.
Yeah, those are good.
So
yeah,
it's a mixed thing.
Those are those have a lot of value when you when you generate documentation from like API documentation, like on GoDocs, or if you generate other documentation in some way, then that you use those to generate your documentation. So having those always updated or always existing basically gives you free documentation, which is really useful.
Yeah, but I think it's not only about having like GoDoc or something, or like what I'm trying to do, like the automatic CRD documentation generation. It's also that if I'm going through the code and I'm for some reason using a value or something of the struct, I can just like jump to it and see the comment what it does.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
So
yeah.
It's not only for just generating something, it's also for me as a developer, or for any developer.
Of course. That's the primary usage of the comments is actually in the code base. Yep, I agree with that, Alex. Okay, any other topics to bring up? All right, then. Okay, then we'll go ahead and adjourn this community meeting here. And the next time we see each other, we'll be here in sunny San Diego. Better not rain that week. I feel pretty stupid. Cool. All right, guys, see you in San Diego.
Later.
See you in San Diego.
Bye-bye.
Bye.